is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
This is Taking Stock on the Sports Cards Live and the Sports Card Dad YouTube channel. My name is Jeremy Lee. That handsome devil right over there is Mr. DPZ. It is Tuesday night, October the 24th, 2023. And tonight, we are taking stock on hobby drama. But before anyone gets too excited, you need to know we do not plan on naming any names. This is a high-level discussion. This is not an attack episode. This is not something where we are here to air our dirty laundry. We are here to talk about hobby drama and its impact on the hobby. Dennis, what are your opening thoughts on tonight's show and anything you'd like to say as we kick this off?
Well, thanks, Jeremy. I second that. We're not going to be discussing people. It's more about what happens behind the scenes. You know, what are we thinking? What are we saying to other people in messages and things of that nature? I think, nefarious activity and bad actors definitely need to be called out. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that there's a place for that for sure. It's just more about the overall sentiment of maybe supporting one another. So.
All right, good stuff. Well said. We got some comments coming through already. The professor left a comment a couple of hours ago. He says there seems to be a lot of drama kings and drama queens, wondering which ones we're going to choose to discuss. Well, again, we're not here to name names tonight. Found Treasures, welcome to the show. Rage is always in the house. What's going on, Rage? Orlando, great to see you. Phil is here. Brent is here. Jeff Hart, there he is. Chad Shipper and the professor do not recognize DPZ without the turned around ball cap. Yeah, very good. Well, here he is, and here we are, everybody. So, I mean, listen, we know, especially on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook, there is a lot of hobby drama. It's a constant thing. And let's face it, it's really good for clicks. Hey, Dennis, you mentioned to me earlier, you've had several episodes talking hobby talk and hobby approaches and all the this versus that, collecting versus investing and all those sorts of things. And then you do a collector's episode, doesn't get the views. Lack of drama. Is that kind of what you figured?
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to what people want to watch. And when you have that free time, or you're driving, or you're running, or working out, or exercise, whatever it is you're doing, and you're absorbing the content, you kind of need to be entertained in a way, right? I feel like folks want to be entertained, and if you can entertain people with either the subject matter, hot takes, riveting discussion, a good interview that has some, back and forth and maybe possibly some, disagreement, taking sides on something, it will always provide more. You're going to have more entertainment. And I think people gravitate towards that. It's fun to look at cards. It's fun to walk through a collection. That's what I've, I ventured out to do in coming in creating content for the hobby, is just to highlight people's collections. But it just, you inevitably get sucked into whatever's going on in the hobby space. And when you're talking to folks and learning about them, you want to know how they feel about those particular subjects and things of that nature. So I think people gravitate towards that, and it's okay. I understand it. It makes sense. I mean, I think we all do. But I also think there's a limit. And I feel like, in general, what is said behind the scenes is almost more important than what is said and broadcasted out on a video or on a story or on a reel. I think the comments that are being made and had amongst ourselves, and I'm including myself in this. I'm calling myself out as well. I think all of us do it to a degree, whether we're defending ourselves, whether we're frustrated with something. We'll put together a DM, an instant message, an email, a text, whatever it is, and we're critical of one another. And I think there's ramifications to doing that. you don't know who's going to see that. You don't know, you have no idea where it's going to end up. And if you, I mean, this is a great lesson in life in general. This is something we should all strive to do in general, whether it be work, whether it's be at school. We be mindful of these things and how we communicate with one another. Do you really need to say it? Because if once you put it down and you send it to somebody, now you're allowing someone else to establish and persuading someone to establish an opinion on someone else based on your opinion of that person. They may not have arrived at one yet, but now you're influencing that. We talk about influencing a lot in the hobby. I just think it's dangerous, and you don't know where that's going to go and how that's going to affect that person's experience, the person you're talking about. How many people does that get shared with? It's dangerous. I think we need to be mindful of that. And if we're being critical of someone, it could backfire. Yeah.
I mean, even just today, I received a DM from somebody who sent me a screenshot of a DM that they received from somebody else, where that somebody else said something unflattering about me. And now I know what they said, and I know who said it. And I'm just going to file that away. You know, I'm not going to, again, not here to name names. That's not my style. I mean, other people feel free to go ahead and do that, but not what I'm looking to do here. But if it gets filed under I'm not going to forget that. I know what this person said and what they think, and that they're willing to tell other people about that. And, you know, this is almost a caution to people. Like, when you send anybody a DM on Instagram or wherever, and you are taking a shot at somebody else in the hobby, you better best be sure that you never offend that person in the future, because they have what are called receipts. They have receipts now on you, and they can share it. And somebody in this hobby, I just got a receipt on them today, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But even what was even more interesting was the fact that this person has literally been chased from social media because they're just tired of the drama. So listen, I understand. I think we have to establish too, Dennis, and you said it, but I just want to establish it again. We all agree that there's no place for bad actors in our hobby. If you lack integrity or you're committing fraud, bye-bye, sayonara, don't let the door hit you on the way out, sort of thing. But if you are not doing that and somebody takes issue with you because of a take you have, a company you're affiliated with, a player you collect, any of that stuff, just be careful out there with who you're sending what, because firsthand, and I've seen it before, and I've got, you know, if you're in any group chats, you know, people are always talking about each other in group chats, and I assume it's an unspoken rule that is kept private, but I don't think you can assume that forever. You know, I know that I'm not gonna go against that privacy, but other people may. So I think it's really important to be careful with what you're saying to whom, because it could very easily get back to the person to whom you are talking about. So pretty interesting.
Well said.
Let's do a couple more comments here. What's up, Mookie Chilson? Bob Boozle, not an attack episode, so I will put my weapons away for now. Average Joe wants names. Brent says part of the problem is nobody wants to use names outside of Jeff Wilson. Yeah, Jeff is definitely become, you know, a punching bag in the hobby. And I give Jeff some credit. He has turned around or pivoted and adjusted and tried to, you know, kind of get away from some of the things that caused that in the first place. So I wish him the best with his store in Atlanta. Hope that works out well for him. Good evening, Spurs Cars 21. Hobby News Daily. Are you not entertained? I mean, that's the thing. Drama content is entertaining to a lot of people, but it's also frustrating to a lot of people. And those are a lot of people who just leave the hobby, or at least unsubscribe, mute, block, and so forth. Right there. X-Ace Baseball says the Collector Series episodes are awesome, DPZ. Don't be discouraged. They're more valuable than any clickbait drama BS. I think that's a really good feedback for you. Hobby News Daily, I believe that Ziggy says collector content is also evergreen and matures. Drama is like milk and best fresh. I mean, that's it, because the best fresh stuff is what gets a lot of clicks. But you also have to think about, you know, who are you attracting the long-term collector who wants to enhance their experience, or, you know, more, and I'm like, or the person who just wants to watch the drama. And hey, I get that. I do get it. I watch some myself, but I try to limit it for sure. Corey says it's just reflective of real life. No difference in daily news headlines. That's true. But the issue I have with that, and I want your take on this too, Dennis, is that this is supposed to be our escape from the daily news headlines. At least it is for a lot of people. We call it the hobby. There's a reason why we call it the hobby, because we don't call it the real life. We don't call it the daily news headlines. We call it the hobby. Hobbies are supposed to be relaxing. They're not supposed to chase you like the individual today who messaged me. They're not supposed to chase you from the hobby itself. So while it is reflective of real life and it's natural, I get what Corey's saying. Corey is just spitting facts here, but that's sort of the unfortunate part, is that it isn't an escape anymore for a lot of people. Loud collector, we all kind of sort of do it. Don't be so hard on yourself. And that's true too. And I don't think anyone is fully immune to this. Bob Boozle says, is it drama or is it value-oriented collectors gravitating to topics that influence their bottom line, scam, manufacturing errors? Well, I think that's a category of this drama, but it's not all the drama. I mean, not every bit of content that gets criticized is scam, manufacturing errors, etc. All that stuff is I think what Dennis and I agree on, things that should be spread out there. Manufacturing errors, let people know. Yeah, scams, let people know. That's Bob Boozle. In my mind, that's not what we're here to take stock of. That is all necessary, factual news that we need to know about. It's more the, sorry, Dennis, for rambling on here, but to me, like, there's not a lot of building each other up in this hobby. There's a lot of tearing each other down. And go ahead, Dennis. I'll just open that up for you.
No, that was a perfect segue, because that was exactly what I was thinking. I think the point of all this is that we have an opportunity to support one another, and that's the premise of this whole conversation. And it's not about who said what and what, it's about how can we better support one another in the hobby space. And I get it. Some videos don't get as many views. That's okay. That's not a big deal. If 2 or 3 people enjoy a collector series video, then that's great. I enjoy doing them, to be honest with you. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast learning about the hobby and going through that. So it's not about that. It's not about the pride and all that. What I love to see is, in general, are we not just vocally and to each other individually, privately, but are we truly, in our heart of hearts, wanting the best for the other the brother or sister next to us? I don't want to go too far down this road, but I do think the core of everything, the reason some of this drama exists, hobby beefs, whatever you want to call it, is because there's something inside that's resonating. And what is it? Get to the core of why people are feeling the way they're feeling. I think a lot of it is jealousy. You're jealous of someone else's collection. You're jealous of somebody else's success in content creation. You're jealous of somebody's success and maybe any money they're making in the hobby. I think that's a place where it comes from. I think we all struggle with that sometimes. We look at somebody else and you see the cards they have, or the collection, or they're getting way more views, or there's more engagement, or they're popular, and I don't know. I just feel like that's a natural thing that happens. It's natural, but how do we avoid going there? How do we steer ourselves from that place and actually get excited about other people's success and want to see other people win? I think there's been a few podcasts out there where they emphasize on enjoying seeing others succeed and win. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. There's enough for everybody here. That's kind of like the heart of what I'm trying. When I think about this, that's the heart of it for me. Is what's the disposition for all the collectors? Because if you get into one of these collector groups, now I'm rambling. You get into one of these collector groups, and you can see the majority of the people involved in these collector groups are trying to help other collectors find the cards they want. They're trying to help them curate the collection they're trying to curate. They're trying to, they want people to enjoy the experience. There's a handful of people that are very experienced in the hobby, and they provide that. That's what I'm talking about. How can we become, ambassadors for the hobby to one another?
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. This isn't about, like, for example, there's a comment here. Where is it? Right here. Zach Pierce says, people coming in this space to rip people off is just not going to go away. Yeah, for sure it isn't, Zach. And that's okay. But that's the hobby scams. That's getting rid of the bad actors. We're all for that. We're not saying don't call out bad actors, but maybe make sure they're bad actors. There's a lot of guilty until proven innocent in our space that I see out there. Like, what's the baseball player who was just proven innocent after Trevor Bauer, right? He was innocent, but his career's ruined because that woman falsely accused him and everyone believed her. And I see that in the hobby a little bit too. And I think that's unfortunate. Scammers is unfortunate, but what's maybe those are unfortunate, but they're going to happen. We accept that. We know that. But what's the most unfortunate is just all this inner battle that we see between, whether it's between content creators or collectors or Instagram accounts. And is there really a beef there? Like, is there really something that someone did that bad where we can't just be excited about somebody else and the way they approach the hobby without having to say, oh, why would you collect that player? Or, I'll tell you, I'm not going to be collecting the flavor of the month rookie, but that comes from literally 40 years of doing this hobby and knowing that's not going to work out for me. Maybe it'll work out for you, but I'm not going to sit there and slam anybody for doing it. So among other types of drama, couple comments here. X-Ace, assumed Jeff would long be gone by now if he's being honest. Once the market downshifted, the fact he'd stayed and is now opening a shop, I respect him more than I would have expected. I think a lot of people probably feel that way. And I respect him for his resilience to all the to all the criticism that he gets. I think that guy is really tough as nails if you think about it. Corey says, in that scenario, the person who sent me the DM is just as much of a drama queen. Well, you don't know the situation, Corey. That person sent me a DM. So let me tell you, that person sent me a DM and said, hey, Jeremy, I just want to let you know I've enjoyed your content, but I'm turning off, or I'm deleting my Instagram account. Nice knowing you. I wrote back, I said, well, that's disappointing. Can I ask why? And he told me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Anything specific? And he sent, like, I didn't know what I was asking for, but then he sent it to me as one example. So he didn't just send it to me to cause drama. Trust me on that, Corey. That's not what happened. Collector's Dream. I try to avoid the drama channels, focusing on collectors' channels. There's a man who knows how to curate his online experience. And I think it sometimes is as simple as not clicking into some of the clickbaity things. Now, if you want to stay informed on the scam of the week, the scam of the month, the news of the month that might impact you, like the 3 of 1 superfractors, that kind of thing. Yeah, stay informed. Dustin, Sports Card Dad, does a great job of bringing you that news every day. He's kind of letting you know what's going on there without getting crazy dramatic about it. He's bringing you the facts. So that's a good opportunity or good option right there. David Hughes says this is true even in the local card market where shop owners are buddy with each other and then go talking trash about each other. It gets around the local show and blows up in people's faces, right? Like, if we as a hobby, we talk about growing the hobby. And I mean, listen, we're going to grow the hobby by propping each other up, not the bad actors, by propping the good actors up, the collectors up, the dealers up, even the flippers who are doing it honestly. They're an integral part of the ecosystem. If we are building each other up, and I'm not talking about content creators alone, them and collectors and the investors, the people who are helping this hobby world go round, the card shop owners, I want to say the manufacturers, even though they do a lot of things that cause us to get frustrated. Sticker autos and redemptions and all the and 3 of 1 101s and all these things. I get that. But when they do something good, let's call them out for that too. instead of just being kind of one way about it. If we can, I think that's a good way to be. Skeppy says the worst thing Jeremy has said about me is getting my YouTube name wrong. You're Skeppy, and I hear other people calling you that now too sometimes. Okay, CGC Sports Illustrated says a lot of avoiding drama is just personal self-control. You don't have to respond to trolls.
So let me talk to that. I want to speak to that. That's a great comment. That comes back to your internal disposition. We all have the ability to control our responses and our reactions to any situation. Don't engage in a comment that is disparaging of another. Don't engage. It's tempting. You want to go, well, why? You want to find out more, and there's something about it that kind of you're curious, right? But don't engage it. Don't give it an opportunity to live. Don't react a certain way. I mean, control your emotions, control your reaction. I've struggled with that a lot. I'm a very passionate person, and I'm a songwriter. I'm in music my whole life, and it's been a double-edged sword because being controlled with my emotions and my being passionate is tough for me. So I want to react. We all want to react, I think, to a degree. Some of us have better self-control than others in that sense, but challenge yourself to not, like how do you not react? How do you not make something bigger than it really should be? So that's a great comment. I mean, having the self-control is a big part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes me think a couple times in the past where I felt the need to defend myself. I'm talking about me here. I felt the need to defend myself on social media. And a lot of time I want to take CGC's advice here. I think it's great advice. Like you said, Dennis, great comment, great advice, just, a great way to be. But sometimes it's hard, and we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. I don't know who's perfect out there. So, sometimes you want to stick up for yourself, but you don't want it to lead to an ongoing back and forth. And I think there's a place for that. But at the same time, you don't have to respond to the trolls. I think that's a great way to be. And it's something that I've adopted in my, I'm over 3.5 years doing content now. And it's something that I've started to do. Started a while ago, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go against that kind of position. And it again, not perfect. Brent says a lot of virtue signaling. I'm a collector and everyone else is bad. Yeah, I noticed that too, Brent. And that's kind of the drama, part of the drama. One type of the drama that I think we're talking about is people saying that my way is the best way. Every other way is bad, so don't do it. Or people projecting what they think you should. What people projecting their hobby approach, whether it's never selling a card or consolidation or reverse consolidation or whatever it is, onto other people, onto the rest of the hobby. Like let people do the hobby the way they want. The only wrong way is being dishonest. The only wrong way is trying to scam people out of money or cards. That is wrong. But otherwise, even listen, I am not a fan of pick videos, top 5 picks that are going to go well or whatever. I'm not a fan of that content. I don't watch it. But it's not a bad thing. Let me rephrase. I don't think it's a bad thing that people are doing that, because that's their thought. That's what they think is going to happen. So they're putting it out there. If you're going to consume that, it's kind of on you to decide if you're going to act on that advice, or you're just going to say, okay, that's that person's opinion. Here's my top 5. I'm going to pick my top 5. Almost look at it as an opportunity to come up with your own kind of contrarian approach, or your own pick 5 list of players to, if you're into the prospecting sort of thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
90s hockey collector, good evening to you. That was worked out. Yeah, I wasn't talking about Wander Franco. I was definitely talking about Trevor Bauer. Zach Pierce, it's the same thing in real world news. YouTubers want to be the first to the story to get the clicks. To be first, you can't wait for facts. Yeah, that's unfortunate, because the problem is we don't have a lot of journalistic integrity in our hobby. We have some people who won't put it out there until they get the facts. And we have others who want the clicks. It's up to us as consumers of content to figure out who's who, and then to take the one with a grain of salt and the other one where you actually respect what's coming out of their mouth, because you know that they've taken the time to contact their sources. Believe it or not, a lot of YouTubers have, and other platform content creators have, have the phone numbers of people who can give you the actual facts here on the information, whether they're calling up someone from a manufacturer, a grading company, a braking company, an LCS, whatever it might be. Here's a great this is bang on from Mid-Atlantic. The issue you are focused on is not a hobby issue, it's a social media issue. You don't see the same level of animosity it shows because we are operating face to face. I think he's bang on here, Dennis, but I think that we have the power. We, the hobby, have the power to rein it in. Now, not everybody wants to. A lot of people thrive on this drama. That's what is giving them headlines and subscribers and followers and all that. But I mean, that's where, are we going to feed that? Yeah, a lot of us will. And I'm guilty of watching some of it myself, but it's more to see what's going on, see what what people are talking. It's not like I'm going for my information. I'm not going there to form opinions on other people. I'm going there to see, when I do, what is the hot topic in the drama of the week.
See, I'm more focused. I'm a little bit different take on that. I'm more focused on what's going on inside your head, because you can say a lot of things just to get the clicks because you want to drive, the analytics and, you want to maximize. I mean, and we're in a capitalistic society. I get it, man. That's what you want to do. Fine. I'm just, what do you truly think? How do you really feel about some of these people? Like, what's really going on? And then what are you saying to people unbeknownst to them, to other people in our hobby? And then you're going to go and you're going to have a conversation with them in person at a show. I mean, do you feel awkward and weird knowing you just said all these things about that person to, person B over here about said person? That's kind of the heart of what I'm speaking to, because, some content creators are, I mean, we keep dancing around not naming names, but I think, a lot of people probably will try to read between the lines. I'm more focused on how do people really feel, and is there a way to get to the heart of it? And where's the real concern and issue? Why would someone want to say that? There's a reason for that. And can we maybe not do that? Is there a way we can limit that kind of conversation? And I know that's probably asking a lot. I just wanted to I think it's an interesting discussion.
It certainly is. Mookie makes a good comment, says, you're right, DPZ, you can't control or change the behavior of others, only how you react to it. Well, the only thing I'll add to that, Mookie, is that it's the same thing we say with card companies. If you don't want stickeratos, or you don't want redemptions, or you don't want poor quality cards, don't buy them. Yet we buy them. We, the hobby, still feed that machine constantly because it's just what the hobby does. So collectively we can control some of the content if you just stop watching it. I mean, people will say, I'll do the content even if no one's watching because I enjoy doing it. That might be true for 1% of content creators. Fact is that if no one's watching, you're probably going to stop doing it. You may as well just talk to yourself again in a mirror. Why do you need the camera? Why do you need the channel? So if we want to change that behavior, stop watching the people that you find are causing the drama. And it's not, listen, there are lots of channels out there that people probably think we're talking about right now. And I promise you, that's not who we're talking about right now. It's not like we're just talking about the people that everyone thinks. And I know who they are, but that's not who we're directing this at. This is on Instagram. This is on YouTube. This is on Twitter. This is on Facebook. This is about everywhere. Everywhere. So
a content, and just be clear, content creators don't need to be, I think we need to redefine what a content creator, I think we all are content creators. If you post a story on your Instagram that goes to your Facebook, look at the people that are looking at that story. It shows you who sees what you post. There are eyeballs that are seeing what you're posting. And no matter whether you think they're being influenced or not, your opinion does probably count. It does matter. The fact that people are looking at it matters. So you're in essence, a content creator if you're doing that. You don't have to have a YouTube channel or a podcast, or you don't have, that doesn't mean that we're not limit. I don't feel like you limit it to that. I think anybody who's putting an opinion out there, it could be, you're in a collectors group on Facebook and you're posting an opinion on a card. You're even in the comment section. I would go even that deep. I think that you have influence in so many different ways on social media. So I think everybody has that responsibility in a way. I think that it could be very powerful if you think about it that way. So, it's not any one person. It's like all of us. Really, it's a call to all of us at this point.
Again, I'm going to say it again. There's a lot of tearing down in this hobby. There is some building up. We see a lot of people sharing each other's posts and that kind of thing, but a lot more tearing down than building up. And the building up is often the same people building up the same people all the time. It's within the little. I don't want to belittle it by saying little, but it's within the same friendship circles. Notice I'm not saying cliques, because I believe these are sort of friendship circles, but they're also a little cliquey at times. And you could say something. One person can say something and it gets no reposts, no likes, no comments. Another person says it, reposts, comments, likes. I see that happening between two different accounts a lot. No, nothing specific, but I see that happening. And it's, you can build up you can help build up an Instagram account that has 5 followers and 3 posts. If they say something that you agree with, there's no shame in doing that. And hey, I'm guilty of not doing that myself a lot, but you can do that. We can do that. I can do that more. Why? JP says, understand and accept the role we all play in the hobby. Some want to monetize, others want the social, and others enjoy the excitement of crazy hits, finds, deals. He didn't even say collecting. What about just collecting? Just collecting cards for the sake of collecting cards. There is also, and I'm sure it's just an oversight by JP, but there's also simply collecting. Goes on to say negative motivation will always exist, and it's our job as collectors to navigate all of it. Exactly right. We curate our collections. We should curate our content experience as well. CGC says, just pick your battles carefully, and when you do respond, be very intentional with it. I'm thinking about, my own experience, and I feel I've done exactly that. So I feel like I've done it the way that CGC is suggesting. Others, I'm sure I haven't done it every time, and I'm sure a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. Brent says the same people who are now collectors were selling newsletters with their picks just a couple of years ago. If I knew what that was about, listen, people also evolve. People also look at the one name we're using. It seems like his name is ever Jeff Wilson. Jeff has evolved. Jeff has pivoted and tried to improve, and has improved, I believe, his hobby content. And people can evolve and do that in time and evolve. And what is wrong with that? What is wrong with somebody just kind of getting ahead and trying to be better? I live under a mantra of continuous improvement. That's what I preach to myself. I'm not saying I'm always successful at it, but what's wrong with somebody trying to improve? Why can't we build that up instead of tearing that down? Professor says, one unspoken great aspect of Sports Cards Live is many of your guests allow us as content listeners to connect with them via IG. This advances the hobby. That's a great, I'm proud of that. I got to say, Professor, thanks for that for sure. That's nice to hear. Mookie says, it's hard. Human psyche is not meant to be able to consume and digest the opinions, good or bad, of hundreds and thousands of anonymous people online. It's not normal. It's not normal to consume all that. And I think that that's the world we're in, as was said a little bit earlier. That's the social media world we're in, and it's kind of on to us to curate what we're listening to and who we're allowing to get into our heads. I'm seeing some drama in the chat, so I'm going to skip over that. Jeff Hart says the drama, ironically, can keep people engaged in the hobby, even if they're not participating with their wallets. Yeah, fair enough. fair enough. Like, listen, I'm not gonna criticize anybody for watching the Kardashians, because someone in my house watches the Kardashians. So I'm not gonna criticize that, but that's what that is, right? And that's kind of that mindless entertainment. A lot of the drama is kind of that mindless entertainment that you're watching for the drama. But why can't those same people stay engaged without using their wallets by watching more constructive? And I'm not saying I'm not talking a world of, how Dennis said, being Pollyanna world, not that kind of thing, but just watching the collector content. And again, not just watching one person show their PC off. I mean, that can be fun, and some people find that very boring. But hobby topics, discussions, interviews with other collectors and insiders and whoever, just to hear different ways of approaching the hobby. You can learn a lot by listening to how other people see this whole space, I believe. Yeah, okay. So it says Brent's trying to start some hobby drama, so we're gonna not be clicking on Brent's comments for a while if that's the case. Yeah, show your slabs. Sorry, DPZ, but you'll drive yourself insane trying to crack that code. That's already a little 7 minutes old. Lots of comments, guys. Thank you for playing. The professor, a simple rule of thumb I use: profanity is allowed, but this content defines a drama channel for me, and I do not subscribe. So he doesn't like swear words. Bob Boozle, if the hobby is a high school, does that mean that Jeremy is senior? No, that does not mean that, Bob Boozle. I am simply a student in the class. Loud collector, everybody should find their own little wolf pack and stick to it if you must vent about someone. Have people that you can confide in, I think is what he's saying. But I got to tell you, I've seen it firsthand. Be careful what you're saying to whom, because that one person that you might be confiding in could turn on you. It happened. Someone got turned on today, and they were. I saw it. I saw it myself.
Yeah, I just don't know why you even want to. I don't know. I don't think they're. I get venting, and we all want to do it, but is it necessary? Because what does it do for you? Does it really improve your situation? Does it make you feel better? It's almost like that analogy where you've got a pillow, like a down pillow, and you cut it open up, and you're standing, high up in the air, and there's a lot of wind moving through, and you just throw it up, and all the feathers come out, and it's like trying to collect and put all those down feathers back in the pillow. Those are all like the things you've said about people, all floating around. And I'm not trying to get. I know I'm probably coming at this with more of the psychological aspect. I just feel like it's just not. It causes damage. I know for a fact that if I see something, I've got pretty thick skin. With my job, I have to have it. But it's impossible to not feel something if you read or hear someone saying really, really negative things about you, or misrepresenting your character, or any of that kind of stuff. It sucks to hear that. It isn't fun, regardless of how tough you want to be. And I think some people are like, I'm really tough. You're not tough. You're tough on the internet. That's not tough. Be tough in person in front of another person. None of this internet tough guy stuff. That's not real. You probably feel the same way the rest of us feel. It would hurt your feelings too, and it'd bother you and frustrate you. But why do that? Why have that out there floating around? I guess I'd say maybe don't, because even if you trust that group or those people, what if something changes with the dynamic of that group and somebody goes off and goes, hey, just like you were saying earlier, here's all the things this person said about this person. And I've had some people over the past couple of years send me a lot of stuff like that. And it's just like, I just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to, it doesn't help me. I mean, it's nice to be informed in some senses, but it's not. Yeah. I just think that maybe that's not the way.
Yeah. No, yeah. Fair. Zach Pierce says there's zero grace in this hobby. Guy did one shady thing 5 years ago, and people will still label that person based on their worst day in the hobby. Thinking of several people, no one in particular. And that's true. That's true. People will go back 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years to disparage somebody who maybe has rehabilitated. But that's not good enough for a lot of people in the hobby. A lot of people who like to call out these things that happened a long time ago. And in some cases, I think it's probably the right thing to do to call some of those people out. In some cases, I think it might be a bit of overkill, and maybe the violation wasn't that bad. Like the parking ticket is a lot worse than breaking and entering, which is a lot worse than battery, right? Like there's different degrees of these things, and people do make mistakes. People do exercise poor judgment. And I think there is rehabilitation is something that does occur. I mean, it occurs in society. It likely occurs in the hobby too. XA says, Jeremy, you always make sure to point out that it is up to the individual to participate in the hobby how they like. Most of the drama comes from people telling other people what is right or what is best. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that comment. The second half of that, first of all, thanks for the first part. I do believe in what I say. And the second part, I think X-Ace is right about that. Average Joe says, this video is too dramatic. These comments are too much. Clemente Collector, can't we all just get along and have fun? To which Average Joe says, yes, we can. Unfortunately, we can't, guys. I don't know what, I mean, I would like, I have the same sentiment, Clemente. Can't we all just get along and have fun? Well, could we? Sure. Do we? No. That's the thing. We don't. There is a lot of tearing down. There's a lot of virtue signaling. There is a lot of calling other people's integrity into question. It happens all the time. And sometimes it's valid. Sometimes it's valid. Oftentimes it also is not, I would say. Corey says, end of the day, it's card collecting. If there's someone who gets you so worked up and it's not an actual personal attack, you've got a problem. Take a step back. I mean, maybe. The one thing, like, I understand what you're saying, Corey, but the one thing where you say is at the end of the day, it's card collecting. It's more than card collecting. It's a community. Let's not trivialize any of this by saying it's just pictures of men on cardboard. It's not just pictures of men on cardboard. That's a cop-out. That's an excuse. It's not just pictures of men on cardboard. This is a full-fledged industry. This is business. This is people's livelihood. This is how people feed their families. This is people's hobby. This is people's escape. It is so much more than just card collecting. My thoughts.
I think so too. I think that you define personal attack. I don't like your PSA 8 Michael Jordan. That's not personal. I think you're a terrible human being that needs to rot in hell. That's personal. I mean, let's differentiate what personal is and what's just an opinion. You can have an opinion about, there might be people that think my content sucks and is terrible. That's okay. That's their right to think that. They can watch whatever they want to watch. That's fine. I mean, I get that. As an artist, you kind of understand people aren't all going to love your art. It is what it is. It's fine. It's life. There's going to be people that enjoy it. So it depends on what you want to focus on. When it gets personal, it's different. That's like, you start you going down these weird roads where it's like, wow, I would say something's wrong with the other person when it starts going there. That's where I'd look. I don't know. Granted, I don't think that kind of stuff is super prevalent in our hobby space. I don't. I'd like to think that, people aren't, loose screws in the head. I just think that supporting one another, whether it be publicly or behind the scenes, a consistency there, it feels good when I mean, we all know this, right? We took a high road and we didn't do something and then it all worked out. And then you end up seeing that person. You're really glad you took that high road because you have that feeling of integrity. Even though maybe that person would never know, that you didn't say or do something or didn't act on something. Something about that is very rewarding. And I guess I want to explore that.
Anything further on that at the moment?
I don't know. I just feel like I think our hobby I'm not a guy who's been to a show yet, so I'm still very much a novice in that. I go to card shops and stuff like that or small events, but nothing like I haven't been to the National. So it looks like it's a massive community, so many people. It's much bigger than this hobby space exists, how it exists online. So I don't know, maybe we're taking into account just what we see online. But I also feel like in the same breath, the hobby space, it seems like it's a small world too. It's a small world. You're right, the community is there. So how do we work to grow together? You know, how do we help one another out, or different things? Like, I don't know. I'm digressing a lot. I'm going all over the map, but it's just, you know, how, like you said in the very beginning, how can we support one another and avoid the pointing of fingers and getting upset with other people based on, you know, their collecting habits or what they're spending money on, or I don't know. That's that. And then when it gets personal, like I said, when it gets personal, then it does go to a weird place, and I think that's what causes a lot of the frustration and the back and forth and all of that.
Let's run through some comments here. I appreciate those comments. Average Joe says, DPZ, not naming names and making a video is the opposite of tough and just feeds the fire to more drama. I don't know what video Average Joe is talking about there, but it depends what you're doing. Tonight's video, yeah, we're not here to name names or call out anybody specifically, more behaviors and more just what is the effect that it has, i.e. we are losing collectors. We are losing people who are being chased away because of a lot of the hobby, a lot of the drama. Hobby Champs, good to have you. Jeff Hart says, I don't think things will change drastically in the future, especially if the hobby keeps growing and new collectors are participating. We all just have to learn to expect it and know when to ignore. That's great advice. Dan the Cardman, welcome to the show. Missed the start, keen to watch on replay. David Hughes, I think people might be embarrassed to out themselves on what they do collect while making fun of sports card collectors. Yeah, probably. Zach Pierce says, we can say it's just cardboard. It's about the money involved, not the cardboard. If we loved collecting cards, but they had no dollar value, most of us wouldn't care about the scandals and the drama. I think that's an astute point. If these things weren't worth anything, but there would be no trimming a card. Wouldn't matter if it wasn't worth anything to start with, most likely, or at least it would be a lot more interesting. Professor says that I create a venue to bring hobbyists and others together at the Toronto Expo Thursday evenings, but you also shared the event via Instagram for us to virtually attend. Thanks for that. You're welcome, Professor. Corey says, back to the MLB player. He was literally accused of terrible things, and that was all the headline. It was totally false, and that's a back page story, right? That's well said, Corey. That's the reality. That's the reality.
It is the reality. Sadly, it is the reality. Yeah.
Brendan Ryan, do you think it's the competitive nature of collecting that brings out the beast in people? I think it's the ability. I think there's jealousy. I think Dennis mentioned that earlier. There's jealousy amongst collectors, amongst Instagram accounts, and amongst YouTubers, and amongst just collectors in general, amongst LCS owners, amongst breakers, amongst all the different stakeholders in our hobby. Dan the Cardman says, they might be pictures of men, but they elevate my love for sport, added dimension to supporting my terrible teams. That's right. It's so much more than just cards, guys. It's a lifestyle. Like in my jingle, sports cards is a lifestyle. It's more than just collecting. It's more than just pictures of men on cardboard. Hobby Champs, I laugh at the hobby drama I watch, but I laugh. It's also corny. I'm not talking about real issues. Those matter. It's the petty, trivial stuff that's cringe. That's what we're here to talk about, the petty, trivial stuff, not the stuff that matters, not the crimes, not the scams, not the fake jerseys, not the things that go against hobby etiquette and that is just straight out criminal. We're not here to say that we shouldn't talk about that. That needs to be shared. We need to protect each other from those things. 100% agree with Absolutely. That. Bob Boozle, trolls, don't forget that collecting is a personal journey. For example, I collect cards of wrestling babes. That's great. Collect what you like. Let's not beat down Bob Boozle because he collects wrestling babes. Build them up, collect them, love them, enjoy your collection. Jeff Hart says, when a collector makes a monumental pickup or a feat, that is drama too, in a good way where others can appreciate. And that's what we're talking about. Let's support each other. If you have any interest in building up this hobby for whatever reason, because you love it and you think others might too, build each other up. Let's not tear each other down all the time. Average Joe says, is there anyone that either of you could mend bridges with and lead this change? Probably, Average Joe. Probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's a great comment. That's a great challenge.
I want to respond to Average Joe's comment earlier. It's the reason we don't want to name names is I believe, we can agree to disagree on this, but I believe if we started yarning off all these names of people and all the things that Jeremy and I may personally think, I just don't feel like that doesn't help anything. All that does is just create more drama. I think it creates more division, and that's not really what it's about. And I don't think, and again, I'm not talking about content creators and shows as more as I'm talking about us as collectors talking to one another about each other. And again, I use content creator, and maybe you probably disagree with me, but I feel like I said, people that are using IG and putting up a story, you're a content creator. You just created content for people to consume. They look at it, they like it, they love it, they reshare it, they repost it. That's content. And so we're all, in essence, content creators if we do that. Maybe some of you don't do that, but I feel like you kind of are if you're doing that. So this isn't about any one person or even the YouTube channels. And in general, how can we just, support each other that way as well? So I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of being not tough enough or being tough. I think you're probably alluding to my comment about being a tough guy, but I don't think that would be a healthy way to do it, to have a video like that.
Yep. Punt Pass Click says, I think a lot of people are bowing out of the online hobby, not the hobby of collecting cards. Yeah, that's a good point. And I hope that's the case. Punt Pass Click, certainly hope that's the case, because I know, I think we talked about on our episode, Taking Stock episode on hobby burnout. We talked about this. I think a lot of people need to take a break every so often from consuming hobby content and consuming real world content as well once in a while, just to feel a sense of normalcy every so often. So hopefully those people are going to, I've said it before, when the hobby has you down, turn to your cards. That's at the core of the hobby is the cards. The cards are what you originally got into because your friends were into it, whatever it was back in elementary school. You can always turn to your cards to reground yourself and find that pure, unadulterated childhood love for the hobby, I believe. Skeppy says, how can it be personal when you have no idea who is saying something? If you choose to make the hobby your livelihood, then you had better be able to stay focused on what matters. Yeah, that's a great point, that you had better be able to stay focused on what matters. Keep your eye on the ball. Very important to people who are in this, if it is their livelihood. But the part about how can it be personal when you have no idea who is saying something? Well, people behind the keyboard, behind the internet, can go all ad hominem on people on a regular basis. And, some people don't want to hear it, or some people don't appreciate it. And yeah, I think it's just not everybody's as thick-skinned as everybody else. Perhaps. Mid-Atlantic, this is just fact right here. He's telling me probably swimming upstream with this one. And we know that. We know that this isn't going to fix anything, this discussion, but we're calling attention to it. Reality is some people go online to learn, some go online to be entertained, and others go online looking for a brawl. That's just the internet of 2023. It is. Agree. But our hobby, and I don't mean to say but, our hobby is a small community, generally speaking, and if you want to help it grow while still calling out the bad actors, how about for every comment on a post on a YouTube video that you make, or every comment you make on a Instagram post, or every video you put on YouTube, for every one where you are throwing shade at somebody without knowing for sure that they're doing something, how about you also throw out something good, something positive that you're seeing out there that someone else is doing? Just to keep it balanced, maybe? I don't know. Just a suggestion. Yeah. AH Finance says, name names. Rahul says, name names. Well, we're not here to do that, Rahul. We said that at the outset. So if that's what anyone is here for, you're not going to get that here from us tonight. David Hughes, naming names might invite the almighty internet power of cancer culture to rear its ugly, pathetic head. It might. My favorite comment so far is the one I'm just going to go back to it because I'm going to take it as a challenge. Average Joe, is there anyone that either of you could mend bridges with and lead this change? That's that's the best. That's the comment of the night. That is the most productive comment of the night. And the thing is, not because he's talking to me and DPZ. Let's put that to everybody who's watching this, listening, whenever you're watching or listening to this. Like, let's try to repair relationships instead of cause more fractured relationships. Again, not people who are scamming. They can just get out. They can, F off and you know what? Go away. We don't need you in the hobby if you are truly a bad actor. But I love that comment from Average Joe right up there.
That's a good one.
Great show, so I'm not able to contribute, but I'm listening. Nice to know you are here. Daniel A. Rage says, time is the only thing we can't get back or buy. Use it wisely. Great advice right there. Something that, Rage, that is something that I take very seriously right now, and really trying to adhere to that advice. Rage, guys, listen to that, what Rage just said. I mean, listen, I'm not here to, I don't want to tell everybody to, live life this way, but we're just trying to encourage building each other up instead of tearing each other down. If you use it to tear someone down to the core for no valid reason, you yourself have some serious demons. Yeah, I think that goes without saying. Well said, Rage. Another one of the best comments of the night so far, in my opinion. Pump Pass Click says 95% of my hobby friends don't post online or follow the general influencer rhetoric. And they're probably a lot happier than a lot of people who do in a lot of cases. Clemente Collector, I think a lot of drama is people either trying to be funny or entertaining to get clicks. It definitely feels the content creator drama is a lot more weight when the commenter negative comment. I think I follow that, Clemente Collector. And I think I agree. Hobby Champs, I'm just enjoying the hobby way more now than during the boom because I can afford great cards again. Yeah, that's no doubt about that. Brendan Ryan, not sure when cards become emotional support tools, but it fits. Yeah, it does. That's why we collect. The nostalgia. It brings us back to our youth when we had no responsibility. All you had to do is your freaking homework. That's all you had to do. Maybe make your bed in the morning, brush your teeth, and collect your cards. And when we can go back in that as adults, when we have the weight of the world of we have our children, we're taking care of our parents, maybe we have a very stressful job, and the cards, the hobby is supposed to be the hobby, not the drama. I mean, for a lot of people, it shouldn't be called the hobby. It should be called the drama. Zach Pierce says there's a real emotional maturity you have to handle the online collecting community. A lot of people of all ages just lack it. Yeah, well said. Well said right there. Go D-backs, 8 outs to go. Helix Band. Good luck to the fans of both teams. Skeppy says, if we had internet and social media 40 years ago, do you really think people would be different? No. I mean, it's the ability to express opinion, express criticism, express hate without any repercussion because you are anonymous. Zach Pierce, I have no friends. I have no enemies. Well, I don't know. I mean, Zach, I hope that works for you. I hope that works for you. Dan the Cardman, be the change you seek. Isn't that Atlassian's motto? I don't know whose motto that is, but I think it's a good motto, Dan. I think that's a good motto.
A good one, Dan.
Brett S. I enjoy the drama content and the intelligent content. It's all hobby information to me. It's how you apply to what you want to. It's how you apply it to what you want to collect. Okay, fair enough. Rage says cards are my therapy 100%. They bring me back to those happy days in my bedroom after school. That's a great thing. That's a great thing, Rage. It does that for me too. If I'm ever frustrated with what I'm with anything hobby-wise, I just pull out a card and look at it and enjoy it. Beautiful 2001 Topps Chrome Refractor, Sergei Fedorov. Beautiful.
That's a nice card. Look at that thing.
Beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
I just look at it and I enjoy it. And it makes, I remember Sergei Fedorov, Detroit Red Wings.
Fedorov, man. Those Detroit Red Wing teams were just special teams.
Oh, Dan clarifies they're an Australian tech company. See it on billboards all the time. Dan, that's a great message. Thank you for sharing it. I'm grateful that you shared it tonight. I think I truly think it's a great message. We're at the 1 hour mark. DPZ, anything else on your mind on this topic before we wrap up?
No, I think we've kicked this dead horse enough for one night. I think the comment section really came through tonight. I got to tell you, like that, the comment section is this show, and just grateful for all that engagement and everybody sharing their opinions. And we don't always have to agree, but grateful for them because it's provides an intelligent conversation and fun. Yeah. So it was a great discussion. I'm glad we're able to talk about it. And, like I said, I remain firm. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just talking about how we're talking to one another, when no one else is looking, or for someone we just feel like we can trust. Are we truly being as kind to one another as we should be and could be? I don't know, a utopic vision, I know, but there's nothing wrong with striving for that.
Agreed. I'm going to read a message that I got today just to from the person that I was mentioning earlier, who was basically taking a step back from collecting and social media. Says people need to put other people and relationships first in this space and cards second, and the growth will come on its own. I have lots of hobbies. None has a space as toxic and uninviting as this one. This is the comment that this person wrote to me. And people who are supposed to be ambassadors, people I used to look up to, participate in that just as much. That's disappointing to hear. And then this person said to me, until this space becomes nicer, it will continue facing the same problems. I have another hobby I've been into for years, and all I've ever seen is people picking each other up. Never any drama, no matter what level you are at. In fact, the best people in that hobby I've ever met, which includes some very accomplished people, are always the nicest, most uplifting, and encouraging of the bunch. I find that to be happy that exists, and sad that that this person finds that in our hobby, it's almost the exact opposite. Let's run through some more comments here that have come in, and then we'll wrap this up. J Mac says, given the unsavory elements that have populated this hobby since well before the advent of social media, the drama content creators do serve a purpose in the hobby. I'm not considering those the drama content creators, J Mac. That's not what this episode is about. This episode is not about people reporting on bad actors. Dustin on the Sports Card Dad does that. He'll share he'll share that news in his daily 10-minute video. You can get that information. That is not what we're talking about. We agree with you, J Max. We agree with you. Sean Red, good job, guys. Hope to see you again. I'll be at the expo, Sean. Look forward to seeing you as well. Hobby Champs won the French Fedorov French upper deck the other night. Zach Pierce says, Dan the man, the hobby goat is here. Bob Boozle's wife collects food to eat. Wow. Rage, thanks Jeremy DPZ for this platform and all your hard work. Keep going till the wheels fall off. That is the plan. I wish my wife would take a step back from Arby's. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. Spurs cards, thank you for that. Brendan Ryan, thank you so much. All right, guys. DPZ. Thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure hosting Taking Stock. It's been just shy of a month since we've done one. We endeavored to do these every second Tuesday, but it's not going to be 100% consistent. We'll do them when we are both available and when we have a topic that is for sure. Thank you, Zach Pierce, for being here. Happy to put up with you, buddy. You did nothing. You were a pleasure. As Dennis just said, I just want to reiterate, the chat was wonderful tonight. You guys always are on this episode. Thank you, Hobby Champs. You guys always are on this show. Coming in, we have viewers on both Sports Cards Live YouTube channel and the Sports Card Dad YouTube channel. Want to thank everybody for joining on either channel. If you're not yet subscribed to either one, please go ahead and do so. Skeppy, who is faster, Timo or Sergey? Probably Sergey, if I'm being honest, but Timo's my favorite. And with that, everybody, this episode of Taking Stock is now over. Corey Carr, I see you. Good night.